Hi royal family, and welcome back to my channel. It feels like it's been so long since I've sat down on this great couch and discussed the core foundations of this channel, which is obviously business. And I'm very happy to be back and firmly rooted into 2023. I hope you too are also rooted into the year and are ready to go. And oh, I hope you've noticed my new studio. Makua, also known as the Pageant Boss Babe. And if you are joining us for the first time on this channel, I talk all things business, especially related to starting your own pageant business. But I also do include elements of my life as a mom, as a boss babe, as a wife, and everything else in between. So I hope you will enjoy your stay with us. And also, please do remember that if you haven't done so already, do subscribe, do hit that notification bell so that you are notified every single time I do post a video. And also, I would really appreciate you sharing this content to anyone whom you think it might be relevant to, or someone that maybe you just want to share to discuss. Also, give me a thumbs up and do comment on this video. Today we will be carrying on with talks about business, and we will be doing part 3 of how to set up your business, right? And I just wish to also reiterate that this is not limited to those that are in the pageantry industry, but it is also open to anyone who wishes to start their own business and doesn't know where to begin, is never really been exposed to entrepreneurship, and is really interested in this and is looking to move themselves in that direction. With that being said, today I will be discussing business plan, the difference between a business plan and a strategic plan. Sometimes we get embarrassed to ask, especially when we are new to this, or perhaps we've worked for many years but have never really been on the business side of things. We get embarrassed to ask what these terms mean. And we also forget that we do have access to information because we are currently living in an era where information is so freely available. All you need is your smartphone and access to internet, and information is at your fingertips. Again, I wish to stress that don't waste your time and data checking nonsensical things. It is good to have entertainment, right? But let that be a small portion of what you use your data, your smartphone, your laptop for. Let majority of what you use that for be an investment towards your own self, your own future. Unemployment is very high in our country, and we do need to start having conversations around entrepreneurship and how we channel the minds of our youth towards them thinking about employing themselves and operating formally. And we start by also bringing them to light that you should not waste your time, but you should rather invest the time and the data that you have to fine-tuning your skill. Said, I am going to get right into it and talk about business plan and strategic plan. I'm firstly going to start by bringing forth to light the differences between the two so that you get a bit of an understanding and being able to separate them. And no, a business plan is not a strategic plan, and a strategic plan is not a business plan. A business plan, firstly, is for a new business, a new project, right? And that is basically the foundation of the business, right? It would touch on things such as the company, describing it, the owners, the capabilities, the industry, the market in which the business operates in, and also right revenue, profits, and sales forecasts, projections, such things. That is what a business plan would touch on, right? And then whereas a strategic plan is for an already existent business, and it would assess the current environment of that business, whether it is internally or externally. A strategic plan would also establish future goals, targets, and it would also describe strategies that would be implemented to reach these. And in other words, it narrates ways in which you want to change your company to either improve or grow it, and also how to make it ready for the future, or how to make it ready for the future. And I want to make a personal example, right? So when I started the MTSAT brand, I had no idea what was waiting on the other side. So I started it in January 2020. And our plan was to go on a national road, on a national tour, doing road shows. In other words, a call for entry, because we were the new kid on the block and we wanted to make people be aware, to raise awareness of the brand. So we started, and then we all know then what happened. And in March in South Africa, then we had restrictions. I'm not going to go into detail because I'm not sure what the YouTube restrictions are in terms of that. But when I do this, I think you do have an understanding of what the restrictions were. We couldn't leave our houses, if that makes sense. So, that obviously then knocked my entire plan out the window, and I had to either sink or swim. And if you know me, I'm not going to sink. So I had to quickly go back to the drawing board and get innovative. And that is also, as an entrepreneur, that is one characteristics you would need to develop and work on. If you don't have a natural ability to adapt or be innovative, then you would then need to work on that, or to partner maybe with people that are able to bring that into the business. Because truth of the matter is, things don't always go according to plan. And if they don't, what are you going to do? Are you going to let all that you worked for just diminish and start afresh? Or are you actually going to ensure that you take the bull by its horns and rise above that and make sure that your business continues to flourish and grow? So that is what I did. I had to sit down and draft a plan to see how I would then keep the market that's already being captured engaged, while also still trying to reach the other potential market. But we will touch on that later. What I want to do is first talk about what a business plan is and what a strategic plan is. I've now touched on the differences between the two. I'm now going to go in depth with each and every single one of those, and then to give you an understanding of what they are. And then I'll go back to using real life examples. So with the business plan, right? A business plan in essence is where you are basically trying to explain your concept or idea. You are putting that idea on paper, and you explain everything connected to that. So who is this business for? The money that you're going to need to be able to realize this idea, or to turn it into an actual viable business, when you'll be able to start realizing profits, and also the resources that you're going to need to be able to help this business idea succeed. And you need this usually when you need to knock on doors. So remember, if you are looking for funding, right, you can't just get there and give them a one pager telling them to invest their money into your business when they don't even know what's in it for them. But with a business plan, you include everything surrounding your business that basically tells the story that you've got in here, right? That you have visualized, that you are able to see coming to reality. You are able to put down facts, research facts on paper, and you are able to share them with other people, right? That would need to have an understanding and to be able to see what you're seeing and to make an informed decision as to whether they think that this is going to work or not. This also acts for yourself as a roadmap. You're able to go back and check if you're on the right path, if also the projections, the financial projections that you have made, if they are realistic, and if you are actually in par with what you have set out, right? So with Miss and Mrs. Township South Africa, when I initially started, right, I think I did say in one of my videos, I started, right, I put, I don't necessarily want to say that I put the cart in front of the horse by not necessarily completing my business plan before I started. And I'll tell you why. Firstly, right, I had the idea in mind and I did jot down the idea, but it wasn't in depth. It wasn't refined enough to take it to funders. And the funders that I did have were also small businesses that wanted a small pager because they didn't have a department that is dedicated to looking at this business plan. I had to keep it sweet and short, an executive summary, so to say, where they looked at, this one pager and they could make a decision as to whether, they were on board or not. And, I actually did get funders on board that, as I did explain, were able to buy my laptop, they were able to buy my printer, they were able to buy whatever else that I needed to get this business started without having to take out from my own pocket. So, but with a business plan, it's more in depth, and you find companies such as Cedar, companies such as CIFA, right, that we do have in South Africa, such as NYDA. And also, I must mention with NYDA, they also do help you for the youth, right? They do help you. They've got a department that is dedicated to assisting you with setting up your business plan. So they consult with you and they are able to put it together for you, and you are then able to take that to other people. For me, because I've used this service before, as I did tell you, I've tried my hand at business a couple of times before I got it right. I don't think that worked. Why? I was not really fully involved in the process. So I was involved in the initial um, phase of the setting up the business plan. So in other words, I was interviewed to find out my idea, and then the consultant then went back and did everything by themselves and gave me the finished product, which I think contributed a lot to my business failing. I really believe that as an entrepreneur, you need to be involved from the very beginning to the digging of the foundation, the laying of the bricks, the first brick, the cement, the water, everything else. Because even if the structure should fall, you are able to quickly identify where the problem is, as opposed to where now you've either paid someone or you've gotten assistance with regards to setting everything up without your involvement. Even if that structure collapses, you will have to start from scratch and you don't have the blueprint, which might present itself as an issue. Right. So to go back to that, your business plan is, a document that would include all aspects of your business that, right, you would keep with yourself, ready to share with funders, ready to share with potential investors, that would show them the direction which your business wishes to take, or where you are in terms of your initial idea and where you are currently, and if you are aligned to that or not. And for me, I believe that a business plan shouldn't be cast on stone. What I mean is that you can always go back to readjust in accordance to the direction that your business is taking, right? So in essence, that is what a business plan is. It is a document that includes all aspects of your idea, and it also narrates your story with regards to how you should walk, how you wish to get there, and what also is included, what you wish to attain, how you see yourself on the other side. And also, every time you birth a new project under that business. So, what I mean by this is that when we started Miss and Mrs. Township South Africa, we started it as just Miss and Mrs. Township South Africa. But as the business grew, um, I identified a gap for a teenage market. I also identified a gap for the little miss, the tween market as well. So the business evolved, and then also, right, I identified a market for small businesses as well, which is something that we are busy working with. We do have an element within the business where we are able to offer a platform for small businesses, right, to receive exposure for their business, but we are expanding that as well. Each project is a different set of the business, and it cannot all be run the same way. So each one of that needs its own individual business plan. And that is also able to, but because also with the actual business, right, I've got a clearer idea of how it works. The forecast would be much more realistic. And for me, also with the business plan, is that a lot of businesses fail because I think they over they're not realistic, right? So everybody, when we are starting, and I think that's the one common trait that we all have as entrepreneurs, is that when we are setting up a business, we are positive that it is going to work. And unfortunately, it's not always the case. But what I have realized is with each business that fails, there is obviously a reason why. But a lot of the times we think that the reasons are external. Usually the reasons are not external, they're normally internal. I'll tell you what, when I started my business that did events, right, I had no structure. So I knew I'm good in events, I've got experience with events, I've got a qualification as well with that, and I've worked in that industry for many, many years. And I went into the market and I had this beautiful product that I offered, but it was not being well received. But when the business collapsed, and years later, when I was able to look back and analyze, I realized that I had no idea what I was doing. I was all over the place. And whereas I had to bring it down and structure it and start moving in that direction and then branch off, I was just taking whatever came, whatever business came knocking at the door, and I was all over the place, and I was not able to refine it and grow it in that aspect and let that which stands branch out into various fields. And that is why with MTSAT, I think I'm doing it so well. I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to do was to empower women using a beauty pageant platform, and then everything else stems from that idea. So you need to have a crystal clear idea of what you want to do. And a business plan will help you to do that because it provokes your thoughts. You are forced to think about what you are doing. Is there still a place for a business plan in 2022? Definitely yes. I think there is a place for a business plan for reasons that I have just mentioned, right? Such as forcing you to think about what you are doing and whether you are on the right path. And also, another thing is a lot of people get into business and they don't really research their business. For me, MTSAT, I'm not even comparing it to any other pageant because I am walking my own path with regards to the product that or the service that I am offering. The model is completely unique and it is tailor-made to suit the offering that I wanted to put out on the market. So that is why I wouldn't necessarily feel pressure with regards to other pageants maybe performing a certain way, and Miss and Mrs. Township South Africa and teen program performing maybe in another way? Is it talking to where I wanted to be with regards to my plan or not? That is what I would compare it against. And yes, if it's not talking to that, I might need to maybe chop off, readjust, add, or whatever the case is. That is why a business plan is so important, because you are able to go back and you're able to compare yourself to, in regards to where you are, where you said you wanted to be, and whether you adjust your business plan or your offering. You would be able to come up with that based on what you've got on paper. Right. So now moving along to a strategic plan. Strategic plan, as I did mention, is for a business that's already existent. It guides existing companies on where to focus their efforts, and also on helping the organization in its transition maybe to a new direction. As I did mention, that we started Miss and Mrs. Township South Africa right before all of this ever happened, and we had no idea that the world would be thrown into absolute chaos. And when it started, right, we started doing road shows, and then we had to be behind closed doors. And obviously, with that being said, we couldn't go on road shows. So now I was faced with, the possibility of either shutting down the idea that I had, and already so much had been invested into it. So that wasn't an option. So I had to go back to the drawing board and decide on a new strategic plan. So that is what, a strategic plan is: taking what's already existing and refining it to either grow it or to improve it. So in the case of MTSAT, what I then did was to ensure that I kept the market engaged. I started a program called Girls in Pajamas Coffee Chats, and I didn't just limit it to those that were already registered, but I opened it up to the entire market, so that people that also didn't know about us would also know about us. But what Girls in Pajamas Coffee Chats did was to offer a solution to people that were faced with issues, being stuck behind closed doors, possibly with their perpetrators or abusers, or also just being stuck in a position where they didn't know what they were going to do. So in essence, we tackled issues such as mental health, abuse. We tackled issues, such as entrepreneurship, or just general chats. We would meet every Friday night, and we would gather online for an hour, and women would just get together and chat around the particular topic for that day. So it also showcased MTSAT as a pageant that not only wanted to provide a stage and for women to parade and fight for a crowd, but as a pageant that really cared about the community, that cared about its contestants, that wanted to really empower women and make a difference in their lives, and also act as a big sister. And from there, we got actually quite a number of registrations. We kept people engaged. I had to come up with campaigns. I mean, we were still behind closed doors, I think, during June 16 and such. So that is why we have, till today, we run campaigns, because running those campaigns also showed me that a lot of people are not aware why we've got various public holidays. And we started teaching. We assumed the role of a teacher, educating the masses, especially the youth, on why we've got certain public holidays, why do they exist, the history thereof. And yeah, so in essence, that became our adopted strategy, and that moved it forward. But that meant going back to the drawing board, implementing or drafting the strategy, and implementing ways on how we were now going to drive this vehicle forward using this new strategy. Fast forward to 2023, we haven't done any road shows. We have adopted social media as our core a core platform to drive sales, because it's worked, right? In 2022, we had a hybrid model where we still did some road shows, elements of road shows, and also use social media. But the road shows were not that fruitful, so we decided to then cut it off. But all of this was birthed from developing this new strategy, right, which was not initially part of our business plan. So I hope that makes sense, using a real life example. But I'm now going to give a full description of what a strategic plan is. So to continue with that, I think what would explain it better is, what does a strategic plan include? So it includes having a particular vision. So you would then draft a vision, which would allow everyone to work towards one common goal. And you would then draft goals that are aligned to that particular vision and to the company values. And then also you would then draft the principles, have an action plan, and also do a SWOT analysis. A strategic plan also requires that you actually step back, you step outside of the business. So, entrepreneur, you'll find that you have to wear different hats, right, within your company, especially when you're starting out. I mean, I remember once watching an interview that Lyra, the singer, she's a South African singer, she had an interview on Africa Magic, and she was talking about when she started her career, right, with being a world-renowned singer. She did it. She wasn't always that, but when she started, she was also a PA. She gave herself a different name so that people would think that there's different people involved in the business. So she wore the hat of a PA and also wore the hat of the talent, being Lyra. So sometimes you are forced to wear different hats. One of those hats would be you stepping outside the business, assessing the business, and asking yourself the question of, where is it going? And that is the head of a shareholder, and what its priorities should be. So the example that I made was that I had to step back, right, and ask myself if the model that we had was going to work. Obviously, it wasn't going to work. So how were we going to still reach that destination, but also changing or refining the initial plan? So the key elements of strategic planning would include where your business is, asking yourself where your business is, where you want to take the business, and also what you need to get there. So in essence, that is what a strategic plan would include. I think also what I did mention was that to also ensure that the business still continues. So what we had, right, in 2020, the thing that compelled us all to be behind closed doors, that caused businesses to start thinking about continuity. And business continuity became a jargon, right? It became a thing that a lot of businesses, especially big businesses, had to adapt and include as part of their strategic planning. So where I also used to work, right, we actually did this in 2019 because I resigned before that whole situation took place. So I was part of the business planning committee because I ran my own communication department. But what more and more businesses realize, they need to have a business continuity plan in place. What happens in the event that something takes place, right, and it affects normal business processions? And it could be anything. It doesn't need to be what happened before. Anything can happen to interrupt or disrupt your business. What then would you do in the event that such a thing takes place to ensure that you don't lose out on profits or even end up closing your door? If you don't have anything like that in place, I want to encourage you to start thinking around those lines, because we've seen what can happen. And to ensure that you set your business up in such a manner that it is able to continue, even if you receive some sort of interruption. I'll make a very simple example for us, right? If our devices had to have a virus and it wipes everything away, what would we then do? We actually had I had a situation, not the entire team, where my laptop actually fell, and I think it was on a Friday evening or something. It I wasn't able to access it, but thank God the method that we use allowed me to still be able to access certain critical documents I needed to release stats on the Sunday. And because we use cloud technology, I was able to then access those documents using my husband or my son's laptop and still be able to perform my duties. So, when you set up your business, those are things that you also need to start thinking around. And, those are also some of the things I will be covering in my business breakfast sessions. I know I had promised that by now my invite would be out and ready. The invite is ready. I am just waiting for one thing that I cannot unfortunately release it without that. So that is why it is taking a bit longer. But to let you know, I am going to have different kinds of business breakfast sessions. I'm hoping that by the time I publish this video, that I will have the invites ready. But I'm going to have business breakfast for the general business community. So for anyone that's looking to have a startup, anyone that's maybe got an idea and wants to turn it into a profitable business idea, anyone maybe that's been unemployed and is looking to venture into entrepreneurship, maybe entrepreneurs that started their business but it's not going anywhere. They actually looking to turn this or to move this vehicle rather. And then the second one will be strictly for pageant business. So those that are looking to start business in pageantry, to formalize it, because a lot of people start pageants but it becomes just a fun thing. It's not a formal thing. I'm talking about those that are looking to build a legacy, a pageant that they can maybe even in future sell off, or it can still operate without them. So if you're looking to structure your pageant business in such a way that it becomes an actual viable business that you can sell in future. I mean, we did see that Miss Universe was sold for billions of rands. It started somewhere as well, and it was built up in such a manner that it became a viable business that could actually be sold off for billions of dollars, not even rands. Every business starts somewhere. Some people buy an already existing business and they take it even further. Other people like myself start businesses from the ground up, and we build it and we turn it into a stable, structured business that we look to eventually grow and maybe sell or manage, and it works for us even though we might not be fully involved in the actual running of the business. In other words, being a non-executive director. So those are things that I will be covering, and also how to get sponsors, how to attract sponsors to your business, how to retain them, how to create a self-sufficient pageant in the event that we've got a situation like we had and businesses are no longer able to support your business. Are you now going to shut your doors, or are you going to find ways to be able to sustain yourself and continue? So I will be sharing those secrets in those business workshops for pageant owners, pageant directors, and then also for pageant goals, right? Those that enter pageants and they want to set themselves up to be winners. They want to also ensure that they meet their sponsorship requirements, and so I'll do a separate video for each one of those, explaining fully what I will be covering. But also, with that being said, I wanted to say that I do offer a service where I can assist you in drafting your business plan. If you are interested in that, do send me an email on my details down below. And also, I do have an option where we can do We can do it online in groups or also face to face as a group. And yeah, so basically, those are some of the services I am able to assist you with. Do get in touch. Do let me know if you are interested. With that being said, family, I hope that this video was really valuable, it was fruitful, it was informative, and you are able to take that which I shared and are able to implement it into your business, into your planning, into you moving your business forward. And I am here for any questions that you do have. Please do remember to comment in the comment section and let me know how you found this video. Do also bring forth your suggestion. Let me know what else you want me to touch on. I also want to start doing Q&As as the channel grows. Thank you so much for the love that you continue to show me. I mean, I saw that our shorts are getting a lot of viewers, which really makes me happy, because you do know that I've recently just launched this channel. I am looking to get it monetized, and there are certain requirements that I do need to reach, which is why I really would appreciate you commenting, you giving me a double thumbs up, you also hitting that notification bell so that you are reminded every time that I do post that I have posted a video and you can get to watch. Please do watch all my videos up until the end, and also share my videos, share my channel, get your community to also subscribe. I am so thankful for your time. From me, Koketa Makua, aka the Pageant Boss